Right now, someone just had a stroke. In the next 40 seconds, another person will experience one too. What's truly alarming isn't just these numbers, it's that up to 80% of strokes are completely preventable. Yet millions of people unknowingly make simple daily choices that dramatically increase their risk. If you're watching this video, you might be making some of these mistakes right now without even realizing it. I'm going to share with you 10 everyday habits that research shows can silently pave the way to stroke, and more importantly, exactly what you can do today to protect yourself. Some of these might surprise you, especially the one about your morning routine that we'll discuss in just a few minutes. But first, let me explain why understanding these mistakes could literally save your life or the life of someone you love. Stroke is the 5th leading cause of death in the United States and a leading cause of serious long-term disability, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. But here's what most people don't understand. Stroke doesn't just happen overnight. It's typically the result of years of accumulated damage to your cardiovascular system, damage that often starts with seemingly innocent daily habits. The American Heart Association has identified numerous modifiable risk factors for stroke, meaning these are things within your control. Today, we're going to focus on the everyday mistakes that might seem harmless, but are actually working against you behind the scenes. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear roadmap to significantly reduce your stroke risk, starting today. The first mistake that's silently increasing stroke risk for millions of people is ignoring the hidden salt in processed foods. Now, you might think you don't eat much salt because you rarely use the salt shaker, but research published in the New England Journal of Medicine shows that about 70% of our sodium intake comes from processed and restaurant foods, not the salt we add ourselves. When you consume too much sodium regularly, it causes your body to retain fluid, which increases blood volume and puts extra pressure on your arterial walls. Over time, this elevated blood pressure damages the delicate lining of your blood vessels, making them more prone to blockages and ruptures. The 2 main causes of stroke. A study published in the journal Stroke followed over 90,000 people for more than a decade and found that those consuming more than 4,000 milligrams of sodium daily had a 16% higher risk of stroke compared to those consuming less than 1,500 milligrams. To put this in perspective, just one frozen dinner can contain up to 1,800 milligrams of sodium, and a single serving of deli meat can pack 500 to 1,000 milligrams. The sneaky part is that high sodium foods don't always taste salty. Bread, cereals, canned soups, and even seemingly healthy items like cottage cheese and vegetable juices can be loaded with sodium. The solution isn't to eliminate salt entirely. Your body needs some sodium to function properly. Instead, focus on reading nutrition labels and choosing foods with less than 140 milligrams of sodium per serving when possible. The second critical mistake involves something most of us do every single day without thinking: sitting for extended periods. The research on this is absolutely eye-opening. A comprehensive study published in the Annals of Internal Medicine analyzed data from over 47 studies and found that prolonged sitting increases stroke risk by up to 25%, even among people who exercise regularly. When you sit for hours at a time, several harmful processes occur in your body. Blood flow slows down significantly, particularly in your legs, which can lead to blood clots. These clots can travel to your brain and cause a stroke. Additionally, prolonged sitting negatively affects your body's ability to regulate blood sugar and blood pressure, 2 major stroke risk factors. What makes this particularly concerning is that the average American sits for about 10 hours per day, according to research from the Mayo Clinic. This includes time spent at desks, in cars, and watching television. The human body simply wasn't designed for this level of inactivity. The good news is that the solution is surprisingly simple and doesn't require joining a gym or making drastic lifestyle changes. Research published in the European Heart Journal shows that taking a brief walking break every 30 minutes can significantly reduce the cardiovascular risks associated with prolonged sitting. Even just standing up and doing some light stretching for 2 minutes every half hour can make a meaningful difference. If you work at a desk, try setting a timer to remind yourself to move regularly. Take phone calls standing up when possible, use the stairs instead of elevators, and consider a standing desk for part of your workday. These small changes can have profound effects on your long-term health. The third mistake that's particularly relevant in our modern world is chronic sleep deprivation. The National Sleep Foundation reports that about 1/3 of adults regularly get less than 7 hours of sleep per night. But research consistently shows this significantly increases stroke risk. A large-scale study published in Neurology followed over 16,000 people for 13 years and found that those sleeping less than 6 hours per night had a 5 times higher risk of stroke symptoms compared to those getting 7 to 8 hours. Another study in the journal Sleep Medicine Reviews found that both too little sleep less than 6 hours and too much sleep more than 9 hours were associated with increased stroke risk. During sleep, your body performs critical maintenance functions, including regulating blood pressure and reducing inflammation throughout your cardiovascular system. When you consistently shortchange your sleep, you disrupt these essential processes. Sleep deprivation leads to elevated cortisol levels, increased inflammation, and higher blood pressure, all significant stroke risk factors. Poor sleep also affects your body's ability to regulate glucose, potentially leading to insulin resistance and diabetes, which further increases stroke risk. Additionally, sleep deprivation impairs your immune system's ability to repair damaged blood vessels. Quality matters just as much as quantity when it comes to sleep. Conditions like sleep apnea, where breathing repeatedly stops and starts during sleep, can dramatically increase stroke risk. The American Stroke Association reports that people with sleep apnea have 2 to 4 times higher stroke risk than those without the condition. If you're having trouble getting adequate sleep, start by establishing a consistent bedtime routine. Keep your bedroom cool, dark, and quiet, and avoid screens for at least an hour before bed. The blue light from phones, tablets, and televisions can interfere with your body's natural production of melatonin, the hormone that regulates sleep. The fourth mistake involves our relationship with stress and how we manage it. Chronic stress is like a slow poison for your cardiovascular system, and research published in The Lancet has shown clear connections between prolonged stress and stroke risk. When you're under stress, your body releases hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which temporarily increase heart rate and blood pressure. This response is perfectly normal and even beneficial in short bursts. It's how our ancestors survived dangerous situations. However, when stress becomes chronic, these elevated levels of stress hormones can damage your blood vessels and increase inflammation throughout your body. A groundbreaking study published in the Journal of the American Heart Association followed over 700 people for 22 years and found that those with the highest levels of chronic stress had a 59% higher risk of stroke. The researchers found that stress affects multiple stroke risk factors simultaneously. It increases blood pressure, promotes unhealthy behaviors like smoking and overeating, and disrupts sleep patterns. What's particularly concerning is that many people have become so accustomed to living with high stress levels that they don't even recognize it anymore. Signs of chronic stress include feeling constantly rushed, having difficulty relaxing, experiencing frequent headaches, and feeling emotionally overwhelmed regularly. The key to managing stress isn't eliminating it entirely, that's impossible, but developing healthy coping mechanisms. Research published in the journal Circulation shows that people who practice regular stress reduction techniques like meditation, deep breathing exercises, or yoga have significantly lower rates of cardiovascular disease. Even simple techniques can be remarkably effective. The American Heart Association recommends practicing deep breathing exercises for just 5 minutes daily. Try this. Breathe in slowly through your nose for 4 counts. Hold for 4 counts, then exhale through your mouth for 6 counts. This activates your body's relaxation response and can help lower blood pressure over time. The fifth mistake is one that millions of people make every morning without realizing its potential consequences. Skipping breakfast or eating the wrong foods first thing in the day. Research published in the journal Circulation found that people who regularly skip breakfast have a 27% higher risk of heart disease and stroke. When you skip breakfast, several harmful processes occur in your body. Your blood sugar drops significantly overnight, and without morning fuel, it can swing dramatically throughout the day. These blood sugar fluctuations can damage blood vessels over time and increase inflammation. Additionally, people who skip breakfast often overeat later in the day, leading to weight gain and metabolic problems that increase stroke risk. But it's not just about eating something, it's about eating the right things. Many popular breakfast foods are actually working against your cardiovascular health. Sugary cereals, pastries, and processed breakfast meats are loaded with refined sugars, unhealthy fats, and sodium that can spike blood pressure and promote inflammation. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed over 80,000 women for 26 years and found that those who regularly ate whole grains for breakfast had a significantly lower risk of stroke compared to those who ate refined grains or skipped breakfast entirely. The ideal breakfast for stroke prevention should include protein, healthy fats, and complex carbohydrates. Think oatmeal topped with berries and nuts, eggs with whole grain toast and avocado, or a smoothie made with leafy greens. Fruit and protein powder. These combinations help stabilize blood sugar, provide sustained energy, and deliver nutrients that support cardiovascular health. The sixth mistake involves something that might be in your medicine cabinet right now: the overuse or misuse of certain medications, particularly non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs or NSAIDs. These include common over-the-counter pain relievers like ibuprofen, naproxen, and aspirin when used inappropriately. Research published in the journal Stroke found that regular use of NSAIDs, except for low-dose aspirin, can increase stroke risk by 19% to 27%. These medications can raise blood pressure and affect kidney function, both of which increase stroke risk. A large study published in the British Medical Journal analyzed data from over 9 million people and confirmed that even short-term use of certain NSAIDs can increase the risk of heart attack and stroke. What makes this particularly concerning is that many people take these medications regularly for chronic pain conditions without realizing the cardiovascular risks. Some people also mistakenly believe that taking daily aspirin is always protective against stroke. But this is only true for certain individuals under medical supervision. The key is understanding that all medications, including over-the-counter ones, have potential risks and benefits. If you regularly take pain medications, it's crucial to work with your healthcare provider to find the safest effective approach for your individual situation. Sometimes this might involve alternative pain management strategies, different medications, or lower doses. For those taking aspirin for stroke prevention, this should only be done under medical guidance. The American Heart Association emphasizes that the benefits of daily low-dose aspirin vary significantly from person to person based on individual risk factors. The seventh mistake is surprisingly common and involves our daily hydration habits. Chronic dehydration, even mild levels, can significantly increase stroke risk. Yet research shows that up to 75% of Americans are chronically dehydrated without realizing it. When you're dehydrated, your blood becomes thicker and more viscous, making it harder for your heart to pump and increasing the likelihood of clot formation. A study published in the journal BMC Public Health found that people who drink less than 5 glasses of water daily have a 41% higher risk of stroke compared to those who drink more than 5 glasses. Dehydration also affects blood pressure regulation. When you don't have adequate fluid in your system, your blood vessels constrict to maintain blood pressure, but this puts extra strain on your cardiovascular system over time. Additionally, dehydration can impair kidney function, which is crucial for regulating blood pressure and filtering toxins from your blood. The tricky part about chronic dehydration is that many people don't feel obviously thirsty. By the time you feel thirsty, you're already moderately dehydrated. Other signs include fatigue, headaches, difficulty concentrating, and dark-colored urine. The solution isn't just drinking more water, it's about consistent, adequate hydration throughout the day. The National Academy of Medicine recommends about 15.5 cups of fluid daily for men and 11.5 cups for women, including water from food and other beverages. However, this can vary based on activity level, climate, and individual factors. Start your day with a glass of water, keep a water bottle nearby as a visual reminder, and pay attention to your urine color as an indicator of hydration status. Pale yellow indicates good hydration, while dark yellow suggests you need more fluids. The eighth mistake involves our relationship with alcohol and how even moderate consumption patterns can gradually increase stroke risk. The research on alcohol and stroke is complex, but recent large-scale studies have provided clearer guidance than ever before. A comprehensive study published in The Lancet analyzed data from over 600,000 people and found that there's no level of alcohol consumption that's entirely safe for cardiovascular health. While very light drinking less than 1 drink per day showed minimal increased risk, even moderate drinking patterns significantly elevated stroke risk. The Stroke Association reports that people who consume more than 2 drinks per day have a 34% higher risk of stroke compared to non-drinkers. Heavy drinking episodes, often called binge drinking, can increase stroke risk by up to 56% in the hours immediately following consumption. Alcohol affects stroke risk through multiple mechanisms. It can raise in blood pressure, contribute to irregular heart rhythms called atrial fibrillation, and increase the likelihood of blood clots. Alcohol also interferes with sleep quality, promotes inflammation, and can lead to weight gain, all additional stroke risk factors. What makes this particularly relevant is that many people underestimate how much they actually drink. A standard drink is smaller than many people realize: 12 ounces of beer, 5 ounces of wine, or 1.5 ounces of spirits. Many restaurant servings contain multiple standard drinks. If you choose to drink alcohol, the American Heart Association recommends limiting consumption to no more than 1 drink per day for women and 2 for men. However, if you don't currently drink, there's no cardiovascular benefit to starting. There are many other, more effective ways to protect your heart and brain health. The 9th mistake is one that's become increasingly common in our digital age: ignoring the importance of social connections and community engagement. Research published in the journal PLOS Medicine found that social isolation and loneliness can increase stroke risk by 32%, making them as dangerous as smoking or obesity. Chronic loneliness triggers a stress response in your body similar to physical threats. This leads to elevated cortisol levels, increased inflammation, and higher blood pressure. All stroke risk factors. A study published in Heart followed over 480,000 people for 7 years and found that socially isolated individuals had significantly higher rates of cardiovascular disease. Social isolation also affects health indirectly. People with strong social connections are more likely to engage in healthy behaviors, seek medical care when needed, and have better stress management. They're also more likely to have others who notice changes in their health or behavior that might indicate stroke risk. The COVID-19 pandemic has made this issue even more pressing, as many people have experienced increased isolation. However, the quality of social connections matters more than quantity. Having a few close, supportive relationships is more beneficial than many superficial ones. Building and maintaining social connections doesn't require dramatic lifestyle changes. Simple actions like calling a friend regularly, joining a community group, volunteering, or even having meaningful conversations with neighbors can make a significant difference. Research shows that people who feel socially connected live longer, have better mental health, and experience lower rates of cardiovascular disease. The 10th and final mistake involves our relationship with routine medical care and health monitoring. Many people only see healthcare providers when they feel sick, but stroke prevention requires ongoing attention to key health metrics that often change silently over time. The American Stroke Association emphasizes that regular monitoring of blood pressure, cholesterol levels, and blood sugar is crucial for stroke prevention. High blood pressure, often called the silent killer, frequently has no obvious symptoms, but is the leading risk factor for stroke. Nearly half of American adults have high blood pressure, but many don't know it. A study published in the journal Hypertension found that people with untreated high blood pressure have a stroke risk that's 4 to 6 times higher than those with normal blood pressure. Similarly, high cholesterol contributes to plaque buildup in arteries, significantly increasing stroke risk over time. Diabetes is another major stroke risk factor that can develop gradually. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports that adults with diabetes have a stroke risk that's 1.5 times higher than those without diabetes. However, even pre-diabetes, a condition that affects over 88 million American adults, increases stroke risk. The solution is establishing regular relationships with healthcare providers and staying current with recommended screenings. Adults should have their blood pressure checked at least once every 2 years, cholesterol levels every 4 to 6 years, and blood sugar levels regularly based on individual risk factors. Don't wait for annual physical exams to address concerns. Many pharmacies and community health centers offer free or low-cost blood pressure screenings. Home blood pressure monitors can also be valuable tools for ongoing monitoring, especially if you have risk factors. Understanding these 10 everyday mistakes is just the beginning. The real power comes from taking action. And the beautiful thing about stroke prevention is that small, consistent changes can have profound effects on your long-term health. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. In fact, that approach often backfires. Start by choosing 1 or 2 areas where you can make immediate improvements. Maybe it's setting a timer to remind yourself to stand up every 30 minutes, or perhaps it's replacing your usual breakfast with something more heart-healthy. The key is building sustainable habits that you can maintain over time. Remember that stroke prevention is not just about avoiding negative behaviors, it's about actively building a lifestyle that supports your cardiovascular health. This includes eating foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids like fish and walnuts, getting regular physical activity, even if it's just daily walking, managing stress through techniques that work for you, and maintaining strong social connections. The research is clear. Up to 80% of strokes are preventable through lifestyle modifications. By understanding and addressing these everyday mistakes, you're taking powerful steps to protect not just your brain, but your overall health and quality of life. Every positive change you make today is an investment in your future self, and it's never too late to start. Your brain and your loved ones will thank you for taking action on this information. If this video has been helpful, please share it with others who might benefit from understanding these important connections between daily habits and stroke risk. Together, we can help prevent strokes and build healthier communities, one person at a time.